Tom Sawyer, and I'm here with Joseph Kim, CEO and CEO of Inovio Pharmaceuticals. He was actually the founder of VGX, Viral Genomics Pharmaceuticals, which eventually took over Inovio Biomedical. We're going to start with the early days, back in the VGX time. And let's just step back to the founding of the company. I know you've told me that the company really started, you were a student, University of Pennsylvania?
Right. I started the company with my PhD professor, Professor David Weiner at UPenn Medical School. And that was about 12 years ago. Started as Viral Genomics, or VGX Pharmaceuticals. Grew as a small startup. One employee, grew all the way up to maybe 30 or 35 people. Raised over $40 million across 7-8 years in private capital, almost dollars at a time, but through hard work. Initial products were small molecules based on antivirals, our knowledge of the genomics of viruses and other pathogens, and then it grew into a nice pipeline of small molecules to go after HIV infection and hepatitis C infection.
Dr. Weiner, David, he's a pretty well-known guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the HIV field, the odds are you've heard of him. If anybody out there thinks the name sounds familiar, maybe you're not sure. I believe he had a role in the Tom Hanks movie Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure you told me about that, his lab.
Mm-hmm.
He's very famous for HIV research,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe he was the one who started the technology that became one of the early vaccines, one of the first, I want to say it was like third or fourth vaccine that was researched for HIV.
Right. Well, no, I believe, it's first DNA vaccines, companies and products to be going to human testing for HIV, received one of the earliest patents for DNA vaccines as a field, as a technology, and so certainly he's considered a pioneer of DNA vaccines, if not the father of the field. He may be a little too young to be called that, but
What are the, I believe, is he the inventor of naked DNA vaccines?
he's one of the inventors.
If you're going to say so, he's one of the people that invented them. Is that,
That's right.
I think we
That's
could peg that down.
Yes, the patents, top earliest patents. It has one of the earliest publications in 1993, and so on. So I did my PhD with him at UPenn.
So it was no accident he's one of the people you went to talk to when you're talking about starting a company based on viral genomics. Specifically, you were using VPR protein, what is it?
It's a protein from an HIV virus that actually takes over and controls certain cell functions once the HIV virus infects a person. We wanted to turn the game around and use the viral proteins in the old days to control tumors from growing, even going, go through a death, controlled death called apoptosis and other things. Certainly it was a technology that was well ahead of its time, and as a company, company's research, we gave it our shot, and we did think that was the best path to get a marketed drug for our company, and we ran into some clinical trials failure with using our small molecule drugs, as you know, in 2005, 2006 timeframe. But all along though, my PhD was in DNA vaccines. David obviously is the world's premier scientist in the field of DNA vaccines. And we had the opportunity to bring in, when we first started the company in 2000, we didn't have the access to patents around DNA vaccines. That was already David's patents were already spoken for to a company, Wyeth, for example. But when the next generation DNA vaccines technology became available, the better and more improved SynCon, synthetic consensus DNA vaccines technology, around 2006-2007 time period, we jumped on that, and as you know, we were able to steer and engineer the company's focus on small molecules and antivirals to this burgeoning new field of DNA vaccines. I became aware and familiar with your company, I think it was 2001 actually, wasn't it? Was it November? Yeah. It's at a symposium put on by MIT, hosted, called the TR100, where they brought what they considered to be the top 100 innovators in technology, and technology encompassed medical technology, obviously information technology, computing. I'm not sure how far out their technology definition went anymore, but they brought the top 100 under the age, was it under age 36 or was it under the age 40? I think it was 35. Under age 35. From the entire world. So it was a pretty good place to meet people like you. Well, it was a class, in my class of 100 innovators included Sergey Brin and Larry Page of Google, along with the founder of PayPal, and other very exciting companies. I was very honored and pleased to be part of that good class of 100 innovators. My business partner, Kim McFarland, and I decided to attend the TR100 so we could essentially meet people like you. We figured, hey, all these people are together in one place. We weren't too smart about a lot of things, but we did realize that many innovators in one place were really too good to pass up. I know for our part, the last company that we were going to invest in, the last field, would be anything in biotechnology, which of course is what we wound up doing. One of the companies I was not interested in was a company called Google. We met you there, and we were very impressed with Joseph having the concept, the VPR concept, that it was just explaining the idea of making drugs from viral proteins, the concept of using them to narrow down focus so that you could use known properties, known proteins, and use those to make drugs. That was something we really liked. And we were very impressed when you explained that to us. And we were also very impressed with you, the background, the education. You have your PhD, and what is it in exactly? Well, PhD is in immunology and biochemical engineering. There you go. At UPenn, with David Weiner at UPenn. I also, at the same time, did an MBA in finance at the Wharton School of Business. Actually, moving back a little bit, I went to work for Merck right after my undergraduate time at MIT. This little known school called MIT, right, which is... And helped to develop Merck's vaccines. I worked on their hepatitis A vaccine and its launch. Worked on their HIV vaccines in research and development. And then they offered to send me to get a PhD at Penn and pay for it, which I gladly took as an opportunity. And that's where I met David Weiner, who ended up becoming my PhD professor, but also my partner in starting what the company that became Inovio Pharmaceuticals, VGX Pharmaceuticals. And it's been a great ride. Certainly having my background and the schooling allowed me to associate with like-minded and diligent folks who have the passion to develop new medicines to save lives, and at the same time make money for our shareholders. And we're all shareholders in Inovio, so those are two endeavors that have really well aligned the path. So we went as investors when we were
reviewing Inovio when we were talking to Joseph. His educational background impressed us. I think it would impress anybody, frankly. His idea was very novel. Not that I had any great experience. Inovio was my first non-traditional investment as far as getting an early stage of any company. So it wasn't that my partner and I, either one of us, had vast experience. So we went through a lot of trouble and doing the research. I probably spent, from the time that we met at TR100, before we were even really putting money in, it was 4 or 5 months. I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours researching papers that Joseph had written, talking to people at Merck, actually, talked to people at the NIH, trying to make sure we were making a good investment, or if not a guarantee of a good investment, at least that he was a real person with a real company and had a real scientific background, and that took me a lot of work. So these are the reasons that we went forward with an investment. I believe our original investment was, I think it was $250,000. I think we originally meant to put 3. At the time of the TR100, you were trying to raise $1 million.
Absolutely.
It seemed like so much back then.
Yeah, it was hard work. They don't teach you how to raise money at Wharton or MIT, or I had to use the School of Hard Knocks to do that. But we scratched and scrapped, and first couple of years we did raise about $1 million successfully, thanks to early investors like yourself, and then we used all of it, and then we ended up making a lot of progress in our company's product development and so on, and so we ended up, as you know, raising almost a little over $40 million as a private company, and then we're able to grow step by step from a one-person shop to over 30 people at that time as a private company. We acquired manufacturing companies.
You even had